welcome to What You Need to Know for ProPresenter operators. In this series, we are going to learn about the ins and outs of everything that we use ProPresenter for, all of the functions that we use, how it all works. We are going to go in depth. We're going to discuss everything in this series. First of all, let's cover the basics: libraries and playlists. The most important thing to know about libraries is that they are folders on our computer where ProPresenter is storing all of the assets that it is using and presenting within the program. So within the library are presentations, like our song slides. It's got all of the songs that we sing in our church, and each of these songs is a presentation. ProPresenter calls them presentations or items. Here we can add a new presentation. We can choose what library do we want to send it to. We can add it to a playlist. We can add items to our library this way. We can take the items and we can take this item, right click on it and move it to another library, or we can copy it and add it to another library and have it in two different places at the same time. Of course, the whole purpose of having different libraries is to keep different things in different places. So of course, we don't want to have sermons living in our song slides libraries because they'll get lost and we won't be able to find them. Libraries are very useful for keeping ProPresenter organized. If we go to a service down here, on the left, it'll show the item name. On the right, it will show the library that it comes from. So we can always find that item really easily. Each of these libraries corresponds to a folder on our computer. So every time we add a new library to ProPresenter, ProPresenter creates a folder on our computer where everything that we add to that library will live. Let's go to our Finder. We go to our Documents, we go to ProPresenter and Libraries. Now here are all of the folders that ProPresenter created for all of our libraries that are in ProPresenter right here. And if we click into each of these libraries, we're going to see all of the assets that exist. The reason that ProPresenter does this is that every time we add a file to our computer and we move that file into ProPresenter, ProPresenter automatically copies and pastes it into the corresponding library folder in the Finder. So it keeps a copy of everything. Of course, there's good and bad to that. The good is that ProPresenter will always know where in the computer to search for the items that we are using in ProPresenter. Of course, the downsides to this is that essentially we're going to have one item in ProPresenter and there's going to be two files on the computer that are associated with it. So that means that the computer is taking up twice as much space for every single file in ProPresenter. So it's important that we keep our libraries clean, that we don't have tons and tons and tons of excessive files that are filling up our hard drive. We can create a new library here. We can call it new, and we just created this library right now. And now if we go in here to our ProPresenter folder, we can see that we have a new folder that was automatically created. So it's just helpful to know that ProPresenter is doing a lot of things in the background for us in regards to our file management on our computer. It's important to keep everything clean, keep everything organized so that we do not run into any issues. That said, once we have a file imported into a library, it lives in that library and it doesn't go anywhere unless, we go to that item and we decide we want to add it to another library. Then it'll create a copy of that file and move it to the other folder. Or if we choose move, it will cut and paste that item from library to library, and we will see that change happen in our documents folder here. So if we are moving things around in ProPresenter, they are moving around in our files. When we are talking about playlists do not contain any folders or files in and of themselves. They are simply accessing items in the libraries. Think of it like Spotify playlists. If you add a song to one of your playlists on Spotify, that song doesn't live in your playlist. You're just accessing it there. ProPresenter is working in the same way. If we want to add a playlist, we can go here, add a new playlist, call it new. We can add items to that playlist. We can add headers and placeholders. If we want to add a song to this playlist, we got to go to our song slides. We go to the song that we want. Let's do Cornerstone. Right click, add to playlist, new. And then we go down to our playlist, and now we can access that song Cornerstone through this playlist. Placeholders and headers are handy if we want to create a template for, say, a Sunday service, so we can remember exactly which order everything comes in. They're just a little item here that we can have, and we can add them, we can delete them, we can edit them, we can rename them. We can go into our Sunday service right here. We have headers here. Pre-service, we have our worship service, we have our scripture and message, we have our invitation closing, we have our post service. Those are headers that are just separating the items in the playlist. We've also got a a couple of placeholders here for prayers. So if we go to this prayer, we can see it shows up right here between the giving and between this song, More Like Jesus. We don't have any slides associated with prayers. Like, we're not going to put up a prayer graphic on the big screen and do an overlay on the live stream or anything like that when we're praying. We're just going to pray in the service. So there's no items that need to be added there. It's just a placeholder telling us that between the giving and this song, there's going to be a prayer. So that's everything that you need to know about libraries and playlists. Libraries, again, are folders on our computer that ProPresenter is accessing. Those files live there. We then can distribute those files within the libraries to playlists. We can create playlists from templates. Go here, create a new playlist from a template from the Sunday service template, and that's going to create a new playlist right here. It's got a bunch of headers and placeholders in here, so we can choose which songs do we want to put in here, and we can just replace these placeholders with songs from the song slides. I can go in here, I can choose Abide, and I can add it to Sunday service template and go to the Sunday service template, scroll down, there's the song. We can put that song Abide in place of song number 1. We don't need that placeholder, we delete it, and of course we do the same thing with all of these placeholders. We replace them with items from the libraries.